Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. My name's Gary, and I've been involved with Nisa Helpline as a volunteer pretty much since the beginning of the project, even before it was called Nisa Helpline, so many years. I got involved initially helping out with graphic services, graphic design for both print and for web, but I also provide some IT services as well. And I I got involved with the project from a personal standpoint because I had grown up in an environment where I'd witnessed a lot of violence and aggression, and I mimicked what I saw. And I don't blame my parents for their situation because they unfortunately grew up in a household that was far more abusive than what I saw. But they were young, they were 17 when I was born, and they didn't know how to be adults. They didn't know how to be parents. They didn't know how to be a husband and wife. They grew up in an environment where they saw this is what a relationship is. And they basically mimicked and repeated that process. Drugs and alcohol had a huge effect on them. And I swore as a child that I wouldn't repeat those mistakes and I wouldn't behave the way my parents did. Eventually, alhamdulillah, they finally got sober and they realized that they just were not good together, and they left and they got a divorce. It was a peaceful divorce, but they finally grew up, if you will. And I met my wife about almost 20 years before I accepted Islam. And we went through a lot of hardship and mistakes. But I told myself that I had myself convinced that I wasn't abusive. I wasn't an abusive, because my model was what I saw and what I'd heard about my grandparents. And I never hit my wife, but I didn't realize that I was just as abusive or maybe even more abusive because of through intimidation, through physical intimidation, through the words that I chose when I would get angry. So I learned to fight and debate and argue like I witnessed at home because I didn't know anything else. The monkey see, monkey do was just, it was there, it happened, and I just went on and I masked the problem through my consumption of intoxicants. And it wasn't until I accepted Islam and I got away from these things, I started to realize that my wife can give as good as she got. But unfortunately, it wasn't until the process, even as Muslims, we had to kind of go through this, and there were still moments where we still questioned, should we be together and so on. And that was 12 years ago, and alhamdulillah, we're still together. But I remember moments where I stood above her, and I stood head and shoulders above her, 130, 140 pounds heavier than her. This little tiny woman, and I stood above her, and I would yell, and I'd be angry with her. And the fear and intimidation in her eyes. And I never ever hit her. I never hit her. And the fear, I can see the fear that I put into this woman that I say I love. And I'm sorry for what I've done to her, and alhamdulillah, we've gotten through it. But still, it eats at me because it's something that I can't take back. And because of what I've done, I had prayed and hoped that through my involvement in the project, it was some way that I can atone. Because no woman, no human being, no man, no woman should have to go through this. And the Nisa Helpline is specifically for women from an Islamic standpoint, and not that it's available for any woman. Any woman can call. It's just that the project specializes with those kind of cultural aspects related to Muslim women, as well as from the religious standpoint, right? There are some details and intricacies that are just better handled with people who understand the religion more, right? It's not that any woman can't call. It's just that's just kind of the specialty that we're into. But any woman any young woman, any old woman, whatever, anybody that's in a situation of abuse can use this line. And it's unfortunate that the project even exists to begin with. But my personal experiences have helped me to connect with the importance of the project. My own behavior helped me connect with the importance of the project. And I think that I think I mean, there's been a few other brothers who have been involved with the project over the years, but I think I'm the one that's been there the longest. One of the questions they'd asked me about this, my involvement was what it was like to be involved working with a project where I'm the only man and it's all women, and maybe that's the price I pay for my actions. I don't know. I'm just trying to be a little lighthearted because it's not a good thing. The fact that the project exists is not a good thing. But the fact that it's there to help people, the intention behind the project, that's what's good about it. So it's important. It's a very important project that we have to get behind.